Hello, potential physics students. I am excited to talk to you a little bit about what this physics class is going to be next year. It is a high school level class, and I am calling it hands-on physics because we're going to be doing a lot of projects. You're going to want to go home and do the experiment, or about quarterly, we're going to actually have some big project that you build. I want you to do this because as soon as you try something yourself, it actually gets in your head and in your hands, and you start to say, wow, I really think I have a problem with this, or you solve that problem and you learn a principle. Where when we just look at principles on paper, sometimes it's harder to get it into your mind and your heart. So we will do hands-on things in this physics class, but you will also need math. So as a prerequisite, I need you to at least be enrolled in algebra, if not already finished with Algebra 1. You will definitely be using algebra skills so you can learn them as you go along. But if you're not at that level, it will probably be pretty frustrating to you when we get to the formulas that we are trying to calculate to predict the world around us. Now, I love physics. Just to give you a little bit of background, if you don't know me, I studied mechanical and aerospace engineering. I worked on satellite propulsion systems before I quit working to raise my family. And I did all of this because, first of all, I love space, so you'll get that from me. I love space exploration, but I also just love the whole concepts of physics because you're trying to understand what's going on in the world. And so I love looking into something and saying, how is that going to behave? Can we predict it with math? We can? That's amazing. It's totally amazing that we can do that. So math is sort of the language that we use in order to communicate science. And so you're going to need math in this class, but you can also learn it as you go along, some of it if it's not as intuitive to you. The bigger thing, though, I want you to come out of this class with is a sense of amazement at how this world works, and how I will teach you a whole lot of physics that is predictable and usable. And we call it Newtonian physics because Isaac Newton wrote a lot of this down. And then at the very end, we'll say, guess what? Modern physics shows that all of these models break down when we get to the very small stuff or the really big stuff, because there's more that we don't know. And we're actually still perfecting the models. We're still learning the physics. We're still trying to learn how to describe the world around us. We just don't know everything. And that's okay because we're learning it, right? Everybody's learning it all together. So I hope that you will enjoy that process. Now, what will class look like? You will have reading every week that you will need to do. We have an online textbook, but I would rather keep you off the computer. So if you want to print it, you can make, it'll take a lot of paper the first time, but you can have a PDF version of that textbook. So you will do that reading, and then there will be some like vocabulary words you can study, or that can guide you in note taking, because I'd really like you to take notes of what you're reading. You're going to need to at least have some reference sheets that you're going to be taking notes. You're going to be writing down the formulas. You're going to be writing down some constants and some principles and laws that we are following this year. And then finally, every week you'll have at a minimum a practice worksheet or some practice problems in a book. We're just going to get a physics workbook. It's not enough that it will teach you all of the physics principles, but it will review them and then give you some practice things to apply what you have learned. So I think that's going to be great. I hope you enjoy that. We'll also have you all sharing in class the things that you build, the things that you make, and the things that you try at home. Now, because we can't get together and do a lab class, like good physics class, you would also set up that lab together. Some of those things you can't do at home, and so we have a virtual lab program called Labster. I highly recommend that you pay for that. It's about $30, I think, and then that we will have our class with assignments within that Labster program. So just so that you know, you can expect that. You will need paper, pencil and eraser. A calculator is very handy. You can use a phone or the computer to do those calculations if you want. But we will learn a whole lot of just the basic physics principles. We'll go through motion, both linear motion and rotational motion. We'll talk about orbits, which I love. You will talk about principles of thermodynamics, heat transfer, and then at the very end, we will start to talk about waves, sound, light, and we will get into some optics and electromagnetism at the very end. So you'll have all kinds of projects that you do on those topics. I hope you join me next year for this high school physics class. Thanks.